Despicable 4 is finally here, expanding Gru's family and bringing them together for a brand new adventure and, of course, a happy ending. But there is one person that we didn't expect to see since he froze himself in Carbonite. So how did Dr. Nefario escape the Carbonite? In Despicable Me 4, the latest animated film in the series, the main plot revolves around Gru and his family entering the anti-villain league Witness Protection after the evil Maxime Lamel swears revenge on Gru. Despicable Me 4 ends with Gru and his family on a firmly positive note, and it subtly serves as the ideal denouement for the character. Gru and his family are reunited with their family and are able to go back to their previous lives following their victory over Will Ferrell's Maxime Lamel, the villain from Despicable Me 4. In addition to Gru, Lucy, the children, and the minions making brief appearances, Dr. Nefario, Gru's mother, Marlena, and his brother Drew set up a happy family picnic towards the end of the movie. Gru's come a long way, and this touching moment shows it. Yet many fans were taken aback by Dr. Nefario's appearance, given that an accident had frozen him into Carbonite the last time we saw him. Dr. Nefario is Gru's most loyal friend who's devoted to him and is always there for him. Despite being somewhat eccentric and hard of hearing, he is a scientist who creates and designs weapons for Gru. Due to his deafness, he frequently makes mistakes that irritate Gru, like building a fart gun rather than the dart gun that he was hired to build. Nefario initially told Gru to get rid of Margot, Edith, and Agnes because he saw them as a hindrance to his plans to steal the moon and didn't approve of Gru's love for them, even though he eventually came to love them on his own. After posing as Gru, he calls the orphanage to allow Mrs. Hattie to take the girls away, later defending his actions by claiming they were for Gru's good. But in the end, Nefario finds redemption and comes to embrace God's renowned love for his adoptive daughters. But even though Nefario was made right in the first film, the sequel demonstrates that he can never stay evil for very long. Gru quits being a villain, which causes him to resign and take a job helping El Macho, who uses his assistants to capture all the minions and give them the PX-41 serum that transforms them into monsters. When he witnesses El Macho forcibly taking Lucy after finding out she and Gru are working for the AVL, he comes back to work with Gru by the end of the film and even participates in Gru's wedding with Lucy. Nefario unintentionally froze himself in Carbonite in Despicable Me 3, and that was that. The character appears in the film for a short while because Russell Brand was unable to return to the role of Dr. Nefario in Despicable Me 3. Gru mentions to the minions that Dr. Nefario had accidentally froze himself in a large block of Carbonite. By then, a few minions are attempting to free him by breaking off the exterior pieces of Carbonite block. Once again, the frozen Dr. Nefario is seen having been moved to one side of the lab, while Gru sat by himself in his lab, having lost most of the minions because he didn't want to return to villainry. Mel's account of his time spent with Gru during a flashback is the last time we see him before he gets frozen. In the final scene, Gru is shown feeling depressed and alone in his lair while Nefario is still frozen. The minions were attempting to get him out of there and save Nefario, but it was a cheap justification to keep him out of the picture because they couldn't find a relevant role for him in the third picture. However, the answer to the question of how he got away is straightforward. Although it wasn't shown in the film, the minions ultimately succeeded in saving him. He made a cameo in the fourth installment, but that was not the only time we saw him since. If you remember, there was an ad for the Super Mario Bros. Movie ahead of Despicable Me 4. A promotional video featuring multiple studio characters watching Mario Brothers was created by Illumination. Who was sitting there, you ask? We saw 3 girls, Gru, and Lucy among the minions in the crowd. Sadly, there's no voice acting for these characters, so you won't be able to hear Gru say anything evil or the minions blabbering about anything. Gru does, however, brandish some kind of weapon and attack the people in line like a complete psychopath. However, he is pacified when he realizes that the people in line have advance tickets to the film. Fans of the other Illumination franchises will find this little advertisement to be quite clever, but we found something better. If you look closely, you can easily spot Dr. Nefario next to one of the minions. So this was more than proof that he indeed was saved from the frozen Carbonite. But how did they do it? Possibly one of the minions realizes they needed to move quickly to save Dr. Nefario. One of the minions rushed to the messy workbench, remembering Dr. Nefario's advice to always have the manual close at hand. The Carbonite machine manual was eventually located by him after he frantically went through stacks of blueprints and devices. He opened the pages and found the defrost sequence instructions. Finding the defrost button was their first task. With the strategy in place, one of the minions clambered up onto the other shoulder to gain access to the control panel situated high up. Standing guard, the third one prepares to warn them of any new issues. He took a deep breath and pressed the red button. Lights flickered, the machine whirled to life, and deep hums engulfed the space. In anticipation, the minions held their breath as the Carbonite slowly started to melt away. The last of the Carbonite fragments vanished, revealing Dr. Nefario's face. He looked around, bewildered, as his eyes fluttered open, bobbing with excitement over their audacious rescue. The minions greeted Dr. Nefario with hugs and excited chatter, assuring him that they had followed the directions. One of the minions proudly gave him the Carbonite machine manual. Dr. Nefario laughed and shook his head at his little yellow friend's inventiveness. In return, Dr. Nefario decided to host a lavish minion celebration. He came up with unique banana-flavored ice cream, smoothies, and a piñata in the shape of a banana. The minions were so excited about their successful rescue mission and were dancing and singing throughout the lab. Curious about the disturbance, Gru and Lucy soon entered the lab. Gru couldn't help but beam proudly at his assistants after getting an update on the day's happenings. With that in mind, we're still not satisfied with this since he mostly was absent from the fourth installment. Perhaps he had some side effects from being frozen for so long and had to rest. Or he was working on another secret project that we're not aware of. He may be the one responsible for the creation of the Mega Minions that we saw in the fourth installment. We were informed that Silas Ramsbottom created them as a test subject for a novel super serum. The Mega Minions are not a newly discovered fully organic subspecies of minions. To create stronger and better agents, the Anti-Villain League invested a lot of time in creating a super serum. The enhanced agents in the serum are meant to provide the AVL with additional options if new or powerful Despicable Me villains surface or make a comeback. Since the scientists are unsure if the serum will give the test subjects powers or kill them, Silas tests the serum's capabilities on minions rather than on humans. There are only so many Mega Minions due to this process. The Anti-Villain League creates them after injecting the super serum into each minion and putting them in their own pod. Every minion who volunteered to take part in the first Mega Minions round ended up receiving powers, proving the event was successful. It's unclear if the Mega Minions will always have these powers or if they will eventually wear off. However, more testing would be necessary to produce more versions of the Mega Minions because they are made with AVL super serum. And who is perfect for that job? Dr. Nefario. What if he was working with the AVL the whole time, and that is why we didn't see him throughout the movie? There is plenty of room for the Mega Minion characters to develop into subsequent installments because they play comparatively small roles in Despicable Me 4. This might occur in the events of Despicable Me 5 or in a Mega Minions film such as Minions 3. There exists a possibility that these films may chronicle the entire process of producing the Mega Minions and ultimately disclose that Dr. Nefario was the one responsible for these monstrous creatures after all. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.